Sockboss, it's Beetle Boy here, and today, for my Black History Month special, we will be talking about one of America's most radical in-your-face movements. This movement was the Black Panther Party. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Led by Bobby Seale and Huey Newton, the Black Panther Party challenged white America to deliver justice and opportunities. In my opinion, their inspiring figures were Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Martin, who stood for nonviolence, was seen by X as non-cautious and unwilling to retaliate against white violence and police brutality. By February 1965, King is assassinated, and by August, the Watts is burning. The community is in an outrage. The tide to nonviolence was breaking. The community had a more militant attitude, and it was led by the younger ones. Black militancy is led by people like Stokely Carmichael and A-Trap Brown, who raised their fist in a rallying cry called Black Power. This is what started to make the people go from identifying themselves as Negro to colored to black. But in the land of Oakland, two student activists, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, are determined to start an organization addressing as what they see as the problem with the racist power structure in America. They decide to call this organization the Black Panther Party. Huey is a legendary street fighter who has more than 6 months of law school under his belt. Man, but does he end up taking his own life? I'll tell you guys later about that. Bobby was here we go. Drummer, comedian, carpenter, draftsman, and rapper. Talk about versatility. Alright, so in this part we'll explain what mostly the Black Panthers did, alright? So, here we go. In October of 1966, Huey and Bobby wrote a 10-point platform explaining the basic needs for black people in America. Numero 7, probably the most controversial, was demanding to put an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people. Panthers solidified their image with a militant look. Most had afros, leather jackets, and shades. They even ran their own newspaper discussing important topics in the community. They tried to make a bill stopping the Black Panthers in their tracks, saying that no citizen could have a loaded weapon on them. So, Bobby Seale and the Black Panthers went over to Sacramento to try to stop the bill from being passed. Since they were pretty much loaded, a news crew saw them, and when they asked what they were on live news, they told them what the Black Panthers were about. This gained more publicity for the Black Panthers. But going in with guns was not a good idea. After the court trial, they arrested all the Black Panthers there, including Bobby Seale, for pretty much no reason. The bill is passed and the FBI start to watch the Black Panthers very closely. In 1967, conflicts with police worsened in places like Detroit and New York, leaving streets like war zones. Huey is struggling to keep the party together, but early morning of October 28, he breaks out into a gun battle with police. 2 police are left dead, and Huey is sent to jail for suspected murder. So with both leaders in the pen, the Black Panthers need a new leader. That new leader that emerges is Eldridge Cleaver. Eldridge even runs for president. Oh, and what I think I respect about this guy the most is he challenged Ronald Reagan to a duel. Roll the clip.
I challenge the punk to a duel to the death, and he can choose his own weapons. Could be a gun, a knife, a marshmallow. I'll beat him to death with a marshmallow.
You don't want to get murdered, okay? So don't get murdered. Because of police actions, Eldridge started to refer to police as pigs, which started to get big. It gave the people the idea we had to take what we want. Because Eldridge ran for president, the Panthers only got bigger. Tommy Smith and Johnny Carlos raised their fists at the 1968 Olympics, and when James Brown sings "Sing It Loud," the whole world is listening. I can't play that for copyright reasons. Sadly though, Huey is charged guilty with manslaughter and has to remain in jail. And apparently, for some reason, Eldridge has to go to jail, but he's been in his jail the whole life, so he decides to do the race. Since Cleaver had to do the dash and Newton is still in jail, Bobby, who's apparently out now, uses the momentum of the party to start up what's probably their biggest achievement. A series of social programs. For example, their food breakfast program to black and oppressed people. This allowed almost 6,000 children across the country to be served food weekly. Now that is serving the people. Sadly, we have to get to the downfall of the Panthers. All of this is going to probably be the negative things that happened during the end, and pretty much what made the Panthers, or the original ones at least, disband. J. Edgar Hoover had his people slowly infiltrate the Panthers. His group, COINTELPRO, who were formed originally to target communists, may I have you mind you, are now targeting the Panthers. J. Hoover in his messages said to watch out for somebody that would be like a black messiah. In that sense, he means somebody that could unify and electrify the people. In LA, they perceived that to be of Erica and John Huggins. In an attempt to make John Huggins past tense, they exploit a beef they had with another black program, the US Committee. The FBI informants for the Black Panthers send notes to the US Committee, making the beef even stronger. The beef comes to its highest point at UCLA dorm room, where John Huggins is found dead. Over the next few months, the Panthers will be continued to be raided by the cops all over the country. On April 2nd, 21 Black Panthers are arrested during a raid. They were charged with suspected plans for bombing a New York department. These people are starting to be known as the New York Panther 21. But besides that, because of the number of informants rapidly joining the Black Panther, people are starting to turn on each other. In New Haven, they started to torture a suspected informant. Dang, right? Police put Erica Huggins in jail for suspected murder. So I'm gonna give you the quick end of the story. Pretty much, Bobby Seale goes to jail, and he's denied the right for his attorney. So, what he decides to do is he decides to speak for himself. When he gets up to do his opening statement, the judge tells him to sit down. He tries to continue, and he keeps telling him to shut up, but he won't because this is his right? So, they keep ending the thing, and it keeps going on and on until one day, they chain and gag him to his chair. The sketches of him chained and gagged provokes an outrage that echoes far and wide. But Bobby was sentenced 4 years for contempt. As time goes on, the news starts to talk about the genocide of the Panthers. I know I didn't talk about it a lot, but a lot of Panthers did die. Most important in my opinion being Bobby Hutton, one of the first members, and Fred Hampton, the leader of the Chicago branch once Bobby Seale was in prison for a while. Both viciously murdered by police. In 1970, Panthers' support was at its peak. Huey is freed and people are very happy because it shows truly the people's power. Only downside though is Huey has lowered his militant stance that inspired much people to join the Panthers. He claims that guns are more detrimental to the party than helpful. Eldridge randomly comes back out of MMA from out of nowhere, also at the most convenient time, and reveals he started an international branch of the Panthers in Algeria, where he wanted to take members of the Panthers to train in guerrilla tactics and then send them back, ready for police fights. With such splitting ideologies, the FBI uses that to make a beef between them. This beef comes to its peak when Huey Newton kicks the international branch out of the Black Panther. Bobby Seale and the New York Panther 21 are released from prison, but it's bittersweet because of the fact that he has to deal with a fraction party, one side on Cleaver and one side on Newton, and with Huey, whose life is starting to spiral down the stairs because of his heavy cocaine use. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the end of a movement that shook the nation. I love the Black Panthers for what they stood for. I was very interested when they said black power to black people, red power to red people, and yellow power to yellow people. It wasn't just about the black people, it was about the oppressed people. Bobby Seale ended up leaving the Panthers, and the Panthers ended up officially disbanding in 1980 when Bobby Seale walked in, stumbled upon Huey Newton trying to take over the drug cartel in Oakland. With thoughts of turning Huey into past tense, Bobby Seale left. If you were wondering about Huey Newton, he let the life of cocaine consume him and ended up getting shot by his drug dealer. But in conclusion, the Black Panther was a pretty good movement. Bobby's words, and I quote, "It didn't matter if you were white, black, red, yellow, or polka dot, I was more concerned of where your heart was at." Alright, well that's the end of the video, guys. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. I used a lot of clips from the, official Black Panther documentary, so you should go check that out, link in description, and that is the end of the video. If you guys liked it, like and subscribe like I already said, and I'll see you in the next one. Au revoir.